share it. That's why I've got my phone in my hand.
Let's see, refresh. Hi, welcome to 1 Minute Wiser. This is Christy Bridges, and I have Angela Stillwell with me. Now, Angela is the founder of Vulnerability Warrior, and she's done all kinds of other things, but she's going to teach us a little bit of wisdom today. We're starting an interview series here at 1 Moment Wiser. You see us daily doing a video of Bible verses and just wisdom for your relationships and your own life. And we're going to start an interview series where at least once a month, we'll bring on someone who, like Angela, who can share wisdom for other areas of our lives, like how to help ourselves live peacefully and be aware of our own power simply by changing the way we hold ourselves. And how to work our businesses or share our gifts in a way that helps to support our lives. So all the different kinds of things that we're going to be sharing over the next few months. If there's a topic you'd like us to talk about, then let me know. I would love to, or if you know someone who should be interviewed, I would love to know about that. So Angela, I am so glad you're here today. Thank you for
I am excited to be here with you.
Yeah.
Happy Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah, you too. So what is a vulnerability warrior?
That's a great question. A vulnerability warrior is someone who maybe you've had something that has been traumatic in your past. And it doesn't have to be anything, crazy. I mean, a lot of people have had really, really crazy things happen, and I happen to be one of them. But what tends to happen is people want to present this air of perfection. They want to, I call it the highlight reel. And that's one of the things in social media, when people talk about the fear of missing out, the FOMO, when they're looking at everyone's social media feed where they're driving the great car and they're on the beach and they're in this great house and they're always dressed up and their faces are always magnificent and their bodies look fantastic all the time, right?
Right.
And that is the highlight reel.
Yes.
Real life is, messy. It's like you and I were talking about before we hopped on live, where I've done Facebook Lives, walking off the tennis court, sweaty and no makeup and basically dripping and still salt covered on my body.
I love that you do it.
But that's real life, right? The things where, like last week, I had, my dog was having surgery and my horse was having issues, and that's real life. Those are the things that are real life, but people don't tend to share those things. They want to always present this air of perfection. And a vulnerability warrior is one who embraces all of those things that got you to where you are today and is open to sharing those things in a way that is beneficial for whomever the audience is. So it's that's how you make those deeper connections with people, is by being real. And you are real by sharing what's going on in life.
We all want to have a purpose and an impact from our lives. And if we are afraid to be vulnerable that way, we don't make much of an impact. People don't notice perfect.
No, they don't.
They turn away from it because they don't identify with it. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be your best person, right? Constantly trying to, find the best life for you and make that happen. But if you are vulnerable about how you got here and where you're going and what the day-to-day is, then people can relate and they can join that journey with you. Yeah, I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to always be a hot mess,
It should be a journey. Yeah.
but a hot mess is a part of life. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, you, with the vulnerability where you help people be authentic just by being you, by being authentic, but
Mhm.
you actually speak and give workshops and stuff. What, why? What is it, the need that you're seeing that people have that you're able to minister to help?
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, it came about when I was going through a divorce, and I started doing that introspective work on myself. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And it's not that any one person is the one who makes or breaks a marriage, but we only have control over ourselves, right? And so I was looking at, what were the things that I could have done differently potentially to make the relationship better. And what did I need to adjust going forward to make sure that the relationships in my life were better going forward? And what I found was because of how we'll use the word dysfunctional, my childhood was, um, I I had built all these walls around me because I moved around so much. I was great at meeting people, and people would open up to me, but I would not reciprocate being open because I didn't feel the need to, because I knew that 6 months later I was going to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there was no need to go deep. But B, I also I didn't I wasn't willing to share any of that. I was embarrassed about, the fact that we moved all the time and that I was always in a different school and, et cetera. And so I learned to keep all of that to myself. And there were other things that were part of that too, why I didn't share. I because of some of the things that happened, I could hear the adults talking, and I didn't want anybody else knowing. So I learned to keep all of that to myself. And I realized when I was doing that introspective work that, at some point you can't do that if you really want to have in-depth relationships, whether it's business or personal. It doesn't matter. There comes a point in life where if you can dive in deep and really get to know someone and they get to know you, then that is a relationship that is much more long lasting and much more fulfilling. And so what I found was, as I started tearing down those walls and opening up more and sharing more of my story and doing that all of my relationships became better, both business and personal. And so I thought, okay, I'm doing this freelance work, I'm doing this marketing consulting, I'm doing these things. How can I take what I'm doing for me to share those more in-depth stories? How can I take that and share that with my clients so that they get that experience of going deeper with people? And I mean, it works in both business and in a personal relationship. When a business can really share their stories of why they're doing what they're doing, and share that heartfelt piece that a lot of times businesses don't. But when they can do that, they get a much more loyal clientele.
Very true. And when you're a leader in business, it really helps if you can learn how to have balanced, healthy relationships at work and take those same skills to home. Because
Yes.
we get out of balance and we end up like you were talking about, where you receive, let everybody else tell you their problems, but you don't share anything. And that makes you a little bit of a stranger. And it is hard to sustain long-term relationships because people want a little give and take. If you're paying for someone's dinner every time you see them, they feel a little off balance, right? Well, if
Yes.
you're receiving their pain every time you see them, but you're never sharing your, what you've been through, and hopefully in a hopeful way, then they don't feel like they're there to support you. They don't feel like they have a part in the relationship.
Absolutely. It is the simplest little thing as um, like giving compliments. And women are really, really bad about this. When someone gives a woman a compliment, you know, like on the dress that you're wearing, and you blow it off and you go, oh, it's no little thing. I bought it at TJ Maxx for $10 or whatever, you know, but that person was giving you a gift with that compliment. And when you blow off that compliment, you're refusing their gift.
And that's not comfortable.
No, it's not. And we don't think about it consciously. And the person who has been who has had their compliment blown off isn't thinking about it consciously either. But subconsciously, we realize that that's going on. And so the behavior of making that deeper connection stops.
Yeah. And if someone cares about you, they might push to help you receive the compliment, and that becomes work. And people want to give freely and not, you know, have to work hard at it, right? We can be graceful about things. So let's talk about, it's not just about what you say, you know, that brushing off of the compliment or disregarding it. There's also things that we do physically, the way we hold ourselves, that can kind of hold people at bay or make us feel and come across as kind of strangers. What do you do? You talk a lot about, well, you do poses and things like that for self-growth, I guess. So tell me about this. I'm bad at introducing this. I should let you do it.
No worries. I mean, it again, this is something that we all do subconsciously. And, you know, when you are not wanting to share, you tend to roll your shoulders forward rather than holding them back. You know, you kind of go, it's like going into yourself. And, you know, if you look at a person who is depressed and the way that they carry themselves versus a person who is happy and joyful and the way that they're carrying themselves, again, it's not conscious, but subconsciously you can tell that something is off with the person who is depressed. They're going to roll their shoulders. They're going to carry their head down a little bit. They're going to, maybe have and I'm sitting down, so it's hard to show all of this. And on this particular, the way that the camera angle is, it's hard to show all of it. But, you know, people will kind of put their hands in their pockets and their head will be down, shoulders will roll forward. You can see me doing that. You know, your shoulders will kind of roll forward, and people don't make eye contact as much. You know, they'll kind of do it from the side instead of straight on. And voice intonation, they'll talk a little bit softer, or it could be the exact opposite. They could be really, really loud and really taking up a lot of space. And that is to also push people away. Yeah. To come completely in is to push people away, and to be overly exuberant can also be to push people away. It's to knock people off guard so that they don't try to get in. Gotcha. Versus when you're just comfortable and, you know, your shoulders are back and you're welcoming. You know, there's a lot of this in yoga. They do a lot of heart opening exercises. And it's interesting when you're doing those, a lot of times in class, when you're doing heart opening and hip opening exercises, sometimes you'll find that people in the room start crying, and it's unintentional. It's because all of a sudden you've released these areas that have not been released in so long, and your central nervous system opens up, and your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system realizes what's going on, and it just comes out. And I've seen men and women do it. So that's not just a woman thing. I mean, it's amazing that just body posture can cause you to do that, but it will. And what happens is when you do a heart opening, you're making yourself more vulnerable.
True. But you're also
like this, you're open to receiving, but you're vulnerable.
Yeah. It's also, though, it's not just being vulnerable, which can seem a little scary, But if you also think about the study that they did that showed when you're all clenched up and when you sit in those closed positions or stand in those closed positions, you build up stress hormones, the cortisol.
Yes.
And when you open up, you actually start releasing more testosterone, which, we're not going to grow mustaches, but will give us the feeling that we're in control. We have a little bit of power and help us relax.
Absolutely. In fact, when I'm working with groups doing like presentation skills and that sort of thing, I go through a whole list of exercises that they can do before doing presentations so that they release some of that testosterone and make themselves feel more powerful. In fact, there's a really good TED talk that Amy Cuddy did, and it's on power poses, and she goes through some of them. There's like the Wonder Woman pose where, hands on the hip, and, the traditional pose of Wonder Woman, right? Where, her legs are her feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart and hands on hips. This is a power pose. And when you stand like this for a while, what happens is that body chemistry. Yeah, exactly. So, and exactly. Yeah. Let's see if I don't know if I can get far enough away from the camera. I can move my chair.
Let's do it together. We do this in my classes before they test.
Yeah. So, if you stand like this just for a little while, shoulders back and head up, the typical Wonder Woman, if you go back and you think about how Wonder Woman would stand all the time, it's like this,
Yeah.
And when that happens, the body it releases the hormones that it's a lot of different hormones. It's testosterone. It's Dharma's trying to, my Great Dane is deciding she wants to do power poses with us.
Of course.
It releases testosterone, but it also releases endorphins and the feel-good hormones that are part of, making you be more receptive to connecting with the people around you.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say hi to Stacy and David and I think Marie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I saw that there's a few comments and stuff, but I can't see the comments, so.
That's all right. I want to keep hearing from you, but I didn't want to neglect our guests. If you guys have any questions for Angela, go ahead and put them in the comments, and we will definitely see what we can do to answer those and share this with your friends.
Definitely.
So when you take the time to actually think about your body and open up, then you feel better, and you're also in a position to receive deeper relationships. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Because what happens is our bodies are these great chemistry labs.
Yes.
And when you do the things to make the right hormones move within your body and release within your body, then it makes the whole situation that you're in more receptive to receiving. So when you get, it's like hugging. Hugging is a great thing to do. If you have been feeling down or you have been feeling depressed, one of the best things you can do is hug on someone. And if you can do like a 15 to 30 second hug, and not one of those where you just kind of pat on the back kind of hugs,
right.
But a real hug. If you can find someone to do that, and it even works if you have dogs or horses, you can even do it with your dog or your horse. Because some people are not really crazy about hugging other. Yes.
Yeah.
Some people aren't crazy about hugging other people that they don't know or don't know really well.
Right.
But if you can, maybe go to, if you don't have a dog, go to the animal shelter. There are plenty of animals that need that, and it helps the animal and it helps you. And it releases oxytocin, it releases serotonin, it releases all of the feel-good hormones that just make life that much better. Whatever the situation is that you're in, if you can do something like that to get those hormones releasing in your body, then it makes whatever's going on better. It makes you sleep better. It makes you digest food better. It makes headaches go away. I mean, it's crazy. It makes healing your body becomes a quicker process. You can get those hormones flowing in your body like that. It's amazing what it can do. Now, just one hug is not going to be the cure-all. If you've got some major ailment going on, you can't go and just get one hug. You have to figure out a way to get those hormones releasing on a regular basis. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
When we learn our first lesson in trusting people, and usually, that first lesson is a negative lesson, right? So somewhere in middle school and high school, we learn not to trust. And somewhere around there, we graduate from actually being touchy-feely, always up in each other's space, to distancing ourselves and being more closed off. Yep. And as adults, we understand the world differently. We've had enough experience with people that we can, and we've had enough experience with ourselves that we don't have to live in, 15-year-old understanding and 15-year-old responses. We can adjust our adult responses, find someone that we do trust, or actually just be a person who is trustworthy and be affectionate. Single people, especially, I noticed my husband and I were separated for a little while several years ago. And I noticed during that time, I hung out with a lot of single people. They don't get enough platonic affection, just the little stroking of the hair or the touching of the arm, the things that make you feel safe. They don't get that. They get the things that require a physical sacrifice if they want any kind of affection. And I think we need to overcome that, because it makes us stronger people. When I can say, oh, you've got pretty hair, and, obviously you're not some stranger who's going to be like, why are you touching me? But, when we can graduate from the long distance hug back to the real, I care about you hug. So I love that you talk about that. God is a genius. To me, I think about our Creator, and I think about the fact that we are still discovering things that, forever ago He actually invented. And things like the way you hold yourself, releasing hormones in you that can either make you more stressed or make you more comfortable, more at peace. And that's not just inside you, because our hormones are, even though we don't necessarily smell them and notice them, our hormones do actually transmit to other people through smell. And so it's partly the way we look, but it's, with the open body language, but it's also, there's some pheromone going on that relaxes the room. Right? When you're at peace, you're putting other people at peace. When you're uncomfortable and awkward, you might think that nobody likes you, but what it is they're all feeling uncomfortable and awkward too. And everybody leaves the conversation going, wow, I am such a dork. And in reality, it was maybe one person that was just uncomfortable that created this disconnect. We don't have to be that person. And we can recognize it in other people and help them along. Go, oh, you know what? It's not me. They're probably uncomfortable. Let me help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you know that these things work, you can help the people around you do the things as well. In fact, like in an office environment, one of the best things that people can do, we tend to, if you work in an office environment, you tend to get to your desk and sit there and work, right? And you tend to close off, unless you're the person who's always at the water cooler talking to everybody.
Then you probably should sit there and work.
You probably should spend a little more time at the desk. But the people who are getting the work done, they sit the whole time and they're on their keyboard or they're writing and they're, hyper focused. And those are all great things.
Right.
However, take a few minutes, like every hour, to get up and walk around, or at least get up and stretch and do some of those movements that we talked about that are opening. Because like you said, even if you're not hugging the people, the hormones are noticed chemically, physically, subconsciously, pheromonally. And, so you're helping not only yourself be more productive by doing that, because that certainly will help you be more productive because it re-energizes your body. If you just get up and move around for a few minutes, I can't work for more than like 25, 30 minutes. Sometimes I can work 50 minutes, and then I'll take like 10 minutes to get up and walk around or go outside or do whatever. And then I come back and get refocused. So if you can do something like that, periodically throughout your day, not only will it make your day go faster, it will make you feel better, and it will make the people who are having to work with you feel better.
Well, and if you have, there have been times that I have worked just tirelessly on a particular project, and I find myself like almost feeling like my heart's pounding and things like that. And it turns out I've just been gripping my chest so tight because I'm doing this and like I'm in a race. And I start to go like this and breathe, just, and that dies down. I don't feel that anymore. We need to look away from the computer and raise our chins once in a while and raise our shoulders. You're exactly right. It makes a better environment for us. And I think you said it, more productive. Absolutely.
Yeah, the keeping your shoulders up like this. You said, like you're in a race. If you're in a race and you're doing this, you're not going to win.
Good point. Very good point.
You have to. I used to run marathons, and excuse me. You have to, while you're running, because your body, that's one of the things you'll start tensing up. And when you do that, you become less effective. Physically, you become less effective. So you have to learn to, even while you're running, or, and the same thing, playing tennis and doing other sports, you'll see people shaking out before they, like gymnasts, before they're about to tumble or whatever, they're doing things like this to loosen up. And that's because they're releasing all of that. Yeah. You'll see, and surgeons do the same thing, before they are about to cut on somebody, they're over there doing whatever their routine is, and it's loosening them up to make them better able to focus on whatever is at hand.
Fantastic. So we've just got a couple more minutes, and I am so grateful to everybody for joining us today. Please just share this if you want to, like it if you like it, and Angie, tell us how we can find you. Where can we learn more? Because 30 minutes just isn't enough.
Sure. You can find me on my Facebook page, all of social media. If you go to @AW Stillwell, @AWSTILLWELL. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook. That's my Facebook page, @AW Stillwell. And I actually have a list of some of my favorite books and planners and journals. If you go to awstillwell.com, there you'll get a PDF, and it has some of my favorite books on how to talk to yourself, motivation, and several of the things that we've touched on today. And then the planners, one of them is a gratitude journal. So yeah, if you're interested in something like that, you can get that too.
You mentioned the gratitude journal, and I was just reading that people who write in a gratitude journal for 15 minutes before going to bed actually sleep better. So if you're having a hard time sleeping, get that gratitude journal started.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things that's on there, they is a gratitude journal that you journal first thing in the morning and just before you go to bed at night.
Wonderful. Well, thank you
5 minutes in the morning. 5 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. No worries.
Oh. I could talk to you all day. Thank you. I really appreciate you being here today. Guys, this was Angela
Absolutely.
Stillwell. She's the founder of Vulnerability Warrior. And I'm Christy Bridges from One Moment Wiser, but I do the daily videos on Facebook and they're called 1 Minute Wiser, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So thanks a lot, Angela. You have a wonderful day. You guys
Thank
too.
you. I've enjoyed it.